Well, added a couple more air rifles to my ever-growing collection today, and the most remarkable thing about these two is that they were free. They were given to me. A chap thinning out his collection, and a friend and I had gone down to have a look at some he had for sale. My friend bought some, and there were a couple of others there that were just scrap as far as he was concerned. And he said, would I like them? And I said, yeah, absolutely, if you don't want them, yeah, sure. So the first one up is Crosman 761XL. This is a multi-pump BB gun, probably circa 1978, late 70s, early 80s. It doesn't work. It does cock, and the trigger works and everything, but the pump, it doesn't pump. The air just leaks out of it, so obviously this seal's gone. And this is very definitely not the original stock. I think that might be the original 4-stock, which is also the pump handle, but it's definitely been replaced. So this needs a lot of work to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get it to operate and function first, and then we'll work on the cosmetic side of it after that. I'll flip it over and you have a look at the other side. So yeah, it's an interesting multi-pump pneumatic BB gun, and I would be really happy to see if I could get this working. I'll close in and go down the length of it. As I said, this is a replacement stock. Someone has done quite a lot of work on this. I don't particularly like it very much. I don't like laminate stocks really of any description. And I think, and this doesn't look anything like the original stock. The original stock was just much more conventional rifle stock. But there you go. At least it's got one, I suppose. There's the receiver, and obviously there's certainly some screws or some sort of, I don't know what was on there. I need to look at photographs of this online to find out what exactly would be in those holes. There it says Crosman 761XL. Go down to the other end, pump handle. The barrel is in actually quite good condition. There is some little bits of surface rust, but I think that'll all clean off, you know. So yeah. So as I said, quite a bit of work to do on this. You can still get seal kits for these, which is great. So I've ordered one of those, and we'll see if we can get the thing working before we progress any further with it. Well, as you can see, the Crosman 761XL is looking an awful lot different now. It's several weeks later since the last video I shot on this gun, and I've done a hell of a lot of work on it. Now, I didn't video the strip down and repairs because I was literally learning as I went along. There are some excellent videos on YouTube which show disassembly and repair of this gun, and I've been following those in order to get this thing working. It is now fully operational. It's back up to full power, and it's a powerful gun. I was quite surprised, but I didn't film it because basically the camera would have just got in the way of what I was doing, and I was learning as I went along. It's not something I'm familiar with, taking one of these apart, and they're quite complex inside. However, I did take a lot of still pictures, and I'm going to throw up a slideshow now which basically shows you the internals, and I've pointed out on one of the slides the part that was actually causing all the problems, which ironically was the one seal I didn't have in the seal kit that I bought for it. It's always a way. Fortunately, it was only a small O-ring, and I happened to have a box of different size O-rings, so I was able to replace it. So I'll throw that slideshow up now. So what have I done? Well, before I did anything on the cosmetics, I wanted to get the gun working. So that was the seal kit, plus the extra seal I didn't know about. Once I got the gun working, I then started thinking about the cosmetics. Now, the original pump handle and stock had been removed and replaced with some homemade ones. I didn't like either the pump handle or the stock, and it was very different to the kind of stock that's on there. Now, the Crosman 761XL has a properly shaped wooden stock, and I'm not confident enough in my woodworking abilities to be able to do that. So I went and had a look on eBay, and there's quite a lot of second-hand stocks and full stocks, fairly cheap actually. And I spotted this. This was described as a shotgun stock and full stock, which I thought, well, yeah, actually that's pretty damn close to. It looks very similar to the original. I've got photographs of the original stock and pump handle, and it was very cheap. I think I paid about £16 for the two. It's a very nice bit of wood. I had to modify the stock quite a bit to get it to fit and match up with the Crosman receiver, but I think it looks nice. I'll flip it over in a minute. You can have a look at the other side. I made the new pump handle out of the 4-stock that I got with the buttstock from eBay. Now, this does look quite a lot different from the original, but I like it, and I like the checkering because it matches up with the checkering on the stock. It makes the gun rather unique, obviously, because I'm sure there's not another 761XL in the world that looks quite like this, but it's nice. It works. Those features work. There was a lot of work involved in this. I had to modify this. I had to drill a hole up through here because there's a bolt that goes up through here which holds it onto the receiver, and drilling that and clamping the stock to drill that hole was not easy. That was a nightmare of a setup, but we got there. And the pump handle is unbelievably complex inside. It has a I think it's an inch semicircular groove slot cut in the top, which goes around the pump tube. Then there is a conventional slot routed out through the bottom of that groove, which takes the actual metal part of the pump handle. And it's yeah, it pushed my woodworking skills to the limit, to be honest with you, but we got there in the end, and that turned out okay. What else? This is the loading port for the BBs there, and that little plate was completely missing, and I basically cut this out of brass and then made a pin which I've soldered to this, which goes through and is tapped, and there's a screw on the other side which holds it in place. I have shot BBs through this, but I generally tend to use it with pellets because this is an early 761XL, so 1975, that kind of era, and it's got a rifle barrel, so I tend to use pellets in this. So let's flip it over and you can have a look at the other side. Yeah, so there's the screw that stands out from the others, obviously because it's brass. I really ought to blacken that off so that it matches up with the other screws, but that's a richer optic scope that's on there. I didn't want a big, large diameter scope. It would look wrong. I figured that period correct scope would be much smaller and narrower, something like that, and I think it looks okay. I mean, it's not a great I think it's a 4x20 scope, so there's not a great deal of magnification, but the maximum distance I'm going to be shooting this over is 25 yards, and that's more than adequate for that. The more I've got to use this air rifle, the more I really like this thing. The pump action gives you the ability to modify the power to suit your needs. Now, I can use this indoors on my 8.5 meter range. If I just use 3 pumps, that's more than enough to punch holes and knock over Red Bull cans and get good groupings on a target. Yet I can go around to my friend's place where I go shooting, and he's got a 25-yard range, and 10 pumps, this thing will hit bullseyes at 25 yards. That's how good it is. I think these were marketed as like a budget air rifle back in the 70s when it first came out, but this thing is amazing. I'm just so impressed with it. Not only that, it compared to other multi-pump air rifles that I've used, this is unbelievably easy to pump up. It really is. It's just a pleasure to use this gun. It's even got a nice trigger, you know, which is, you know, considering the market segment it was aimed at the time, just amazing. So yeah, and also of course, I was given this gun for free. I didn't pay for it because it was going to be thrown away because it didn't work. So there you go. I've learned a lot working on this. My knowledge of the internals and the workings of certainly pneumatic air rifles anyway has been increased greatly. Apart from the learning exercise, it's been a great deal of fun and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy with the outcome. And you know, this thing that was destined for the bin is now a very nice and serviceable air rifle, and I'm really pleased to have it in my collection. So much so that I'm on the lookout for for other early Crosman pump action guns, because I really like this. So yeah, so there you go. That's the story of the Crosman 761XL, which was destined for the bin and was has been restored to something like, I hope, its former glory. But the main thing is this is now a perfectly serviceable and usable air rifle. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, thanks very much for watching. Cheers.